My void will consume you, if you ask nicely.
Your will is no longer your own.
Stay away from the voodoo. Toi!
You have led the Horde to a place without honor.
Your petty quarrels only make me stronger.
Our world needs us, champion.
You got it over your head.
We cannot let the world fall to darkness.
Already lost.
Put your faith in the light, and all is possible.
Is it truly righteousness that drives you? I wonder.
It would seem you have guests.
They are coming for you. This is the Whispers of War.
Hello everyone and welcome to Whispers of War, show number 52. I'm your host Sil, and let's jump into how was my week in World of Warcraft. I can tell you now there wasn't a lot of retail. On Monday evening I decided to look at retail WoW. I'm just going to call it BFA. So I looked at BFA and I thought, oh, I wonder what the WoW token is selling for, because I'm sure people want the WoW token to sub to the game so they can play Classic. And yeah, the prices skyrocketed a lot. By I think almost every 2 or 3 hours the price went up. And I thought to myself, okay, maybe I should buy one WoW token at least for myself, so I can use this on my main toon and, you know, benefit from some of the gold for pets or other things that might come on the auction house. Yeah, that didn't happen because there was a queue time even for purchasing these WoW tokens from the shop. And I just didn't want to do that. I just thought it's not worth it. I'm not going to play it that much. I will be diving into Classic anyway. It will happen when it happens. So I just left it. I'm sure that with the 15-year anniversary events, that's also when a lot of people will subscribe again. So I thought, nah, just leave it. Let's just focus on Classic. So then became the logging in game. Now I was already logged in. I just couldn't, you know, enter anything with my character. So I just went to my main server, which is Andalor Tribe, and I decided, well, I can make 10 characters now. I'm just going to reserve some more names and see if I can get some of my names. Some of them are not really RPers. I know from an RPer it hurt me a little bit doing that, but I wanted to have the name of monkeys in game. So I did create 2 toons with those names. And yeah, I just then all of a sudden people said, oh, we can log in now. Oh, okay, quickly. So I pressed enter. Nothing really happened for a long time, and all of a sudden I was in. I saw the video finally play, because we got the whole, you know, issues with the world servers down. This is not working, that's not working. I never was in a very long queue. Not that I think, it was just that world server issue. And then I was in. And with me so were like tons of other people. It was challenging that first night. I think if you have not been able to log in on that first night, I honestly don't think that you missed that much, because it was just frustrating. Luckily I didn't have lag at all, but I can imagine some people might have had that. It was a lot of people in a very small area. This respawn time for things is horrific. I was also one of those people who queued up to finish certain quests, because that is the one thing that okay, I'm going to not go into a rant about this at all, because yeah, it is Classic and I would have expected this, and I understand it when people say, oh well, yeah, welcome to Classic. But certain things like this did not happen back in the day, and one of those things is queuing up to get your quest done, just because the respawn time, for instance with the orcs, you have to loot a pickaxe, which is just a spawn somewhere in a cave, and anyone can click on it, but then it despawns and you have to wait until it respawns. And I'm sure that on other starting areas you have similar things. So the problem is that the respawn time for this is a very long time, so people are basically waiting, because as soon as someone tags it, that's it, you can forget it. And a lot of people don't want to group up for things, so it was a little bit frustrating. yeah, this happened back in the day, but not to that extent. I mean, there were not so many people when I started. I remember starting maybe like 12 hours later than when the game was originally released in Holland, and it wasn't like that. It was nothing like that. The tagging of mobs, that could have been a bit of a challenge, which didn't really frustrate me. It's just what it is. Unless you're competing over one board with 50 other people, that's a little bit frustrating. But I really don't think that, like the things with the pickaxe, for instance, or anything that you have to loot, or the respawn rate of mobs that are like the end bosses of things for a quest line. I honestly think that needs to be solved, and I don't know if it's just a matter of it will organically grow into the game because people will, after like 2 or 3 weeks, go like, you know what, this is not for me, I want to go back to retail, or maybe something will happen in BFA, and people are like, okay, well, the anniversary's here now, I want to focus on that, I will leave Classic for a week or something. And then you will only have like the proper diehard Classic players playing. So maybe it will organically become easier to finish your quests. But at the moment, that is my biggest gripe, and that's my biggest frustration. So that's the only thing I'm like, that's really not making me enjoy the game as much as I wanted to enjoy. The tagging of mobs, yeah, well, you have to be quick. That's the problem. You have to be quick, or you have to be willing to group up. But even so, there's always some dickhead out there who just jumps in after you've been waiting for 10 minutes and just tags the mob before you. It happens. Is that Classic WoW? I guess it is in a way, but I don't know. Some of those things I find a little bit frustrating. It's not frustrating enough for me to go, okay, I don't want to play Classic. I do think that this has also made me appreciate certain things in BFA a lot more. I do appreciate how easy everything has become for us in a way. Not everything is as easy, but certain things are definitely a lot easier. Like the finishing of your quests or anything like that. I do feel like we've received so many quality of life add-ons or additions to the game to make it easier and just, overall quicker. And talking about quicker, I did 2 dungeons. My god. You have to almost do it on your day off, because you can't just go, I'll quickly do a dungeon before work starts or anything like that, or before I have to do other things. You can't. You really have to just sit out your time. And we had a tank when we went to Wailing Caverns. I actually went with the lovely Marty. He was healing on his priest, and I was sheeping on my mage. And the tank had to leave at a certain point when we were, I think, 3/4 in, something like that. Just because we were already, I think it was well over an hour, because I had to rebuff twice, so I think it was about 90 minutes. That's a long time for an instance. Also, it's Wailing Caverns, so no one knows where to fucking go. It is a maze, but I liked it. A part of me really enjoyed just having to really think about what you're doing in a dungeon. You have to crowd control. You have to make sure that everyone knows what they're doing. You don't have to be on voice call. It makes it easier, but you don't have to. But you really have to work together. But we actually 4-manned it in the end with a shaman who was tanking. And none of us died. We didn't have to do a course run. We just have to take it slow and be really, really aware of what we're doing. And it was good. And I do think that people who've been playing this game for a long time, and also with BFA, if you know your classes and if you know what is expected of you in a dungeon, you can actually play this a lot quicker and better than I did 15 years ago. I can already say that now. So yeah, I'm having a really good time, surprisingly so. I thought, I'm going to be hyped, but I didn't think I was going to be so invested into it. And I think it's almost like a new game, because for me, I didn't really play Horde back in the day. I did have a second account to play a Horde character on the same server I was on, because I was playing on an RP PvP server. So I needed 2 accounts. And I just couldn't really remember any of the quest lines. So having some of those quests back and just going through them is really, really nice. And it just feels like a new game, but a little bit more challenging. I wouldn't say that the game is harder. It's just you lack a lot of quality of life additions. So some of the things are a little bit more hardcore, but I also feel like some of it has been simplified. You don't have to worry about 120 levels. You don't have to worry to go through which content. Do I do BFA now? What's my optimization for spells? Which is strange because you have more ranks of spells now. Your talent trees are a little bit more complicated, I think. But I feel like it matters. Every time I level now, I really feel like, oh, I can put my talent point into one of the trees. And it really does matter. And it really helps with progressing your character and making, the best of your role. It all helps. And yeah, it just feels more rewarding. And that's the big thing, I think, with Classic. At the moment, I feel much more rewarded when I level than I have in Battle for Azeroth, if I'm really honest. But again, I love both games. I think both of them are really, really good for what they are. And I think Classic is just a game that at the moment I'm just having the most fun in. So, it's a different thing. I'll probably play BFA just for the story because I want to see where it goes. Whereas with Classic, I play it for the game itself and what it is and what you're doing, and that's what I really enjoy. And there's that bit of nostalgia. So yeah, that's really what my feelings towards Classic are. I'm having a great time. The queue times have really reduced for me. I think on the busy parts, which is around 4 or 5 o'clock my time, that's when most people have come home in Europe from work. During the week, that's when it's busy. In the weekends, it starts a bit around midday. I think the longest you have to wait is maybe 10 minutes, but that's not so bad. I mean, it was 4 hours at a certain point. That's where I gave up in the evenings, and I just thought, I'll just go somewhere else. I'll go on Hydraxian Waterlords, where I have my Alliance character. And I rolled that one really for nostalgia reasons, but I'll tell you in a minute. And I just, it's not that bad. I really can see that it's gotten a little bit better. And there are 2 really big guilds on this server. One is Nixium's guild, which is really great to see the Gravediggers running around. They are organizing a lot of PvP events against the Alliance. I've already seen that they've fought in... Westfall. They had a big battle against the Alliance, and I think there was stuff going on in the Barrens as well. And I like that. It reminds me of back in the day when I was playing Vanilla and the Burning Crusade, fighting against the opposite factions. It's really, really fun, but I know a lot of people don't like it, but then don't go to a PvP server. That's all I'm saying. So that's that. I'm also in Taliesin's guild. I'm in Taliethics, if I say that correctly. It's a really lovely guild. People are very, very friendly. I like it. Everyone is, asking in guild chat, oh, does anyone need this? Does anyone want to run this? Everyone's really friendly. So if you're looking for a good guild, that's definitely one to join. And working on my professions even a little bit. That's a new thing. I haven't done that in several expansions. But here it just feels like I don't know. Again, it's simplified. You don't have to run dungeons. Well, you do in the end run certain dungeons to get things, but it doesn't feel. Like I get really confused in BFA with, so I have a rank 2, but I haven't even got a rank 1 in this. Where the fuck do I get my rank 1 in this? I don't know anymore, and I don't even want to know. So I have a lot of these weird things that I just can't use because I just don't know how professions work anymore. Whereas here in Classic, it's a little bit easier, for me at least. So yeah, the other thing, that people jokingly say is that it's not World of Warcraft, but World of Walkcraft. I have to really get used to the fact that I don't have a mount yet, and that I have to start now saving money to buy my mounts. You really have to watch what you're doing. I can't buy all my spells at once. I have to be really picky with what I want. Also with my professions, what do I really want to level? Which spell do I want to get next for my profession? It's quite a task. I'm trying to sell a lot of stuff on the auction house as well, just to get enough gold for that mount at 40, and I don't think I will have my epic mount for a very long time. So I'll probably have to start dancing on a mailbox again to get that epic mount. But yeah, I enjoy it. So my mage is now level 23. Still going strong. I have a frost mage, a troll, and I am enjoying playing him. I also made, as the alcoholic that I am, I made a Torn Druid, and she's level 10 now. I did my bear form quest, which was just so nice, and it brought back so many memories, but it didn't bring half as many memories back as when I rolled on Hydraxian Waterlords, and I created a Night Elf Druid with exactly the same looks that my old Druid had, and hearing the music, doing the quests, it just brought back so many memories, and I really enjoyed it. That's my character for when I really want to zone out a bit and just enjoy my surroundings. I just want to see Ashenville again and just do everything there. That's just on the normal RP server, so I don't really have to worry about PvP. I just wanted to do that for myself and just to get back to where it all began for me. But no, I think it's been a blast, and I'm playing it more than I expected. I thought at a certain point that I would be done with it, but no, I'm still playing it. I'm not going to say it is perfect. It's far from perfect. There's a reason why we've evolved to Battle for Azeroth, but it is a different type of game, and one that I'm surprisingly enjoying a lot. So I also streamed this a little bit. I was thinking I was going to stream a lot more, but honestly guys, I've been playing for very long sessions, like 12-hour sessions if not longer, and I looked like deformed up at times, and I thought I can't make a decent conversation with anyone, not even with my boyfriend, so let alone on like something like Twitch. I don't think anyone needs to hear my zombie babbling. I will start streaming a little bit more, just because I think the newness of everything and just the rush of getting to where I need to go is gone now, so it's all a little bit calmer, and I can actually sleep a little bit more now. But launch night was crazy. I also realized that at this age I cannot do what I did 15 years ago or all those years before when Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King launched. I can't stay up for an all night anymore. 2 o'clock was when I got kicked off because of the world server issue, and actually that was good because I needed a whole day to recoup just from that. I can't do that anymore. So yeah, that's that was a very interesting experience, and I think I value sleep much more over all of this. Anyhow, enough about Classic until I come back afterwards, but I am going to leave you with a lovely, lovely and very interesting interview with Momo, and we talk about the uniqueness of World of Warcraft and how it has changed gaming. So I will get back to you after the interview. And with me today, I'm being joined by another brand new guest and another female. I'm so happy that all the ladies responded to my ad, and it almost sounds like a dating thing that I'm doing here, but it's not. I promise, it's not creepy. I have another lovely female on the show. Welcome, Momo.
Hi.
I have to admit, when I sent out that message saying, will all ladies who play WoW please respond to me? And I'm being so aware that my Whispers of War, if people have never heard of the podcast, it's like, is this a guy who's just trying to slide into my DMs? What's going on here? So I'm really, really happy that so many girls were just like, all right, I'll just take a chance. So thank you for that.
No, it's no problem.
Right, Momo, can you tell the listeners a little bit about who you are, what you do, what's going on with you?
Well, they call me Momo. I don't know where I got that nickname, but I am 19 and I've had a WoW addiction for like a year now.
Wow.
So, and like in that short period of time, just like it's been awesome. Like my friends introduced it to me, and like I've known these friends for years, so I really trust them on recommendations for games because I've always been into video games. It's just this is like such a unique one, you know, after playing like Maple Story when I was younger and all. So like, yeah.
That's
just a big nerd who's like into WoW, you know?
That is not. I think you're among friends who are listening to this, so in that case, you're all good.
Yeah.
Just a year. But which expansion was that you joined? Was that already BFA, or was it still Legion?
It was not. It was before BFA, and I'm not gonna lie, I thought I wouldn't. It's not that I thought I wouldn't like the game. I just was trying to mess with my friends. Like I was, I was a Worgen mage because I was just like making a troll character, and I really wanted to like mess with them, and I did successfully. I made them extremely mad a lot, but I ended up really liking it. So I did make a serious character later, but I still have that Worgen mage in my character log, you know, because like sentimental value. But yeah, it wasn't really. I didn't pay attention at all until we got to like Pandaria content because we were just doing leveling.
Yeah.
And I was really like, wow, this game is actually like interesting. I'm actually like excited to log in, even if I'm just messing with them, you know.
That's really interesting. Okay, so let's start with the whole. How did you start? Because you said that you did it to mess about with your friends a little bit, but how did they actually get you into it?
They were telling me about it, and we played like some Diablo, so I was like, okay, like I guess if it's like that, which it literally is not, but I was like, okay, like I already had a Battle.net account, and they were all just making new characters so we can all like level together, and they had been playing for a long time, like literally since like Classic or something crazy. So I was like, okay, like I'm down if you guys are passionate about it, like sure. So they would like carry me through stuff and all, and I would just like mess with them the whole time, but it was fun. I mean, like, it was so different. I think that's what every new player thinks. It's so like, there's so much to do that it's almost intimidating. But I found that exciting. I was like, wait, there's so much to do here. Like, you can do like that much, and it's so open world. And I was like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. So after you get past like the intimidation of it, I started playing like by myself and like with other people, and it was just like, it was a good time. Not what I expected from just messing with friends, you know?
I could imagine. What exactly did you find? Because for me, it's really like I've been playing for 15 years, so I find it really interesting to get newer players and their opinions. What did you find intimidating about the game to begin with?
So, the actual way the whole rotation things work was like not confusing for me, but it was just different because I grew up on like FPS games, like Call of Duty and stuff. There wasn't really a rotation. You kind of just like pew pew, you know? So like having those buttons there, but then I got really good key bindings from like my friends. So then I was like, oh, this is actually cool. It's like solving a puzzle every time you go to fight something almost. And that's what makes it so like the fighting is just so engaging. Like I'm not, you know, like tired of combat anymore. And like sometimes I would get like that with games. I'm like, I kind of want to avoid it, you know?
Yeah.
But with this game, it's like, just bring it on. Like I'm down to fight, you know? Because it's so interesting, you know? There's so many little combinations, and yeah, so like once I got into like my hunter, which is my main right now, I really got into like the rotation and like how actually playing the game is like.
Yeah.
So yeah, once I got that down, that was like the most complicated part. Everything else just like flowed naturally, you know?
Okay, but what was the turning point for you that you went like, okay, yeah, you know, I'm making just a fun character just to troll my friends a bit, to you going, actually, no, I want to really seriously now get a character that is going to be my main. What was that turning point for you?
The beginning of Battle for Azeroth. I know people have like complaints about it, but like that was like, they give you a boost for that. So I was like, okay, that's something to maybe take it serious, because like higher levels, I have to look like I actually know what I'm doing. And I played a hunter, and that, I think playing a hunter and the new expansion kind of went hand in hand as far as like how into it I was, because I really enjoyed playing a hunter. Like, oh my gosh, I still do. Like, honestly, it's so fun. The gameplay is awesome. So like that really helped, and just like figuring all that out. and I would like watch tutorials and just get like really into it because I took the boost really serious and I just like took it all really like, you know, I wanted to do all the content. So yeah, it was a mix of like the class itself and the expansion that really like made me take it like, okay, I'm like hardcore RPing now with this.
That's really good. So you said you started off with your Worgen mate, so Alliance. Did you stay Alliance or have you switched Horde?
All of my characters are Alliance currently, so yeah, I like Night Elves, you know?
Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I have a Lightforged Draenei right now that just turned 120, so there's that. I just like the races. It's like purely cosmetic, honestly. Like, if they announced a race that was super like cute for Horde, I would obviously like play that probably. So it's definitely cosmetic. I'm like not like, you know, aggressive towards the Horde or anything. Except for when they used to kill me when War Mode wasn't a thing, because I'm on a PvP server. When they used to kill my Worgen, like all the time, I would just always get killed because I didn't know what I was doing, and like I was just leveling, you know. So I'd be a little salty, but I mean.
In all fairness, I've never, even because I used to play on a PvP server all the time, and now I play with War Mode on. I've never heard anyone go, "Oh yeah, I've been killed. That's fine. I'm okay with." Everyone gets a little bit like, "Okay, yeah, I'm over it now." You know, especially with stuff at the times.
I'm just not competitive. Like, it would be great to see more women in PvP for WoW, but I'm not the type. I'm competitive with the DPS chart sometimes, but other than that, I'm not very like, yeah, 1v1 me, you know, like, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, actually, that's a good. I talked to a lady yesterday who actually set up a whole Discord for ladies to join who are new to PvP or want to get into PvP to all start up groups and everything like that. So,
ooh, that's cool.
That is, I'll see if I can get you into contact with her just in case you want to join that Discord. But yeah, I agree with you. We need more girls out there who PvP. I think it would be nice to see more girl groups out there. Now let's go to the main topic, and I think it has to do something with the fact that you are. I don't want to call you a super new player. I
am kind of new though.
But yeah, I guess maybe if from people who've played 15 years, that's a new perspective, and I'm very jealous of that because I think it's really unique to. I wish sometimes I could see the game back 15 years and just experience that again, because it is a very unique feeling. Experiencing it all for the first time, it's amazing. But you wanted to talk about the uniqueness of WoW and how it has changed gaming. Why this subject?
I feel like it's just something I'm really passionate about. After like playing for a little bit, I'm just like, this is so different. I feel like there's games that follow like the same kind of mold, and they're not bad games. I'm not saying that like games like that are story driven are bad. They're not. They're great games. It's just, this is definitely like, I feel like it's definitely changed gaming a lot, because people who consistently play a game are like having a different experience. So my friends that play League and all, I'm pretty sure, just correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's more of like a match game where like it's not really RP based that much.
Yeah.
So like with WoW, they could have easily made it to where you just queue up with friends and there's like a menu, and then you go into a dungeon or a raid and there's no like, you know, you don't like walk around, you can just like do that. They could have easily made that, but the fact that they didn't is really interesting. It reminds me of like MapleStory on steroids or something. And like, it's crazy because like I would play smaller games kind of hinting at that. Like there's this game on Steam called Trove. Me and my friends played a little bit, and that had like a little bit of that in it where like you can explore, but there was also like dungeons and all. So that was interesting. But with WoW, it's just like so much. Like there's just so much to it and so much love like put into it. And I really noticed that. I'm just like, oh geez, like me and my friend got Lucid Nightmare recently. The fact that that's a separate adventure just for like a mount is like crazy to me, and our progress is like saved and we can just log in later and we're like there, like both of us, and I can see him and he can see me, you know. It's just like, I don't know, it's like interesting. It's different than like MapleStory, like I said, I used to play. It's different from Feral Heart. I would play Feral Heart sometimes. That's a really like indie one, so I don't know if anyone can relate, but yeah, it's just so like it really changed the way I look at other games. Like I feel like this game is like my main game, and I don't see that changing now, just because like the progress and just like the fact that you can choose what to do. It's not just like, you know, queuing up for raids all the time. You can like go like collect stuff if you really wanted to, you know, like achievements and just that whole system. There's so much like going on. I think like other games have touched on that. Like obviously played like Elder Scrolls and all, there's like RPG elements to it. But like the fact that it's multiplayer and just like you can queue up for things like that, it's just like there's so much to do. That's like awesome. It's just so unique. And that's why it's so popular, honestly. So I don't expect to stop playing for a long time. I'll be like an old lady on my Hunter.
I think that's all of us how we started when we were in our teens, and it was like, yeah, I'm playing it now, and then you're 15 years and you're like, I'm still playing this game. It is definitely, I think, for a lot of people, like almost like a commitment. I joked that I've had a longer relationship in World of Warcraft than I've had with any other people in my life.
Honestly,
so
yeah.
No, it's lovely hearing that, really, for someone who's just played. So they are doing something correct and to still pull people in. I'm wondering, because you say there's so much to do. Do you, as a new player, sometimes feel a little bit overwhelmed with everything that you hear you could do in game? Do you sometimes get the feeling like, oh, I want to do this, but I don't have time. How do I do that? And that it might be a bit too much, or don't you get that feeling at all?
I feel like I used to get that feeling on my Worgen.
Okay.
But then, like, when I really got into it and had fun with what I was doing, that's when I really started to actually, like, get things done. Like, there was, like, what's a good example? Like, the achievements for Orgrimmar to get Galacrus. I really wanted Galacrus, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that took me so long because I kept missing the Paragon achievement, which, like, you can only, like, try so much and get different things. It's so specific and weird, but I like worked at that for so long, but I got so much, like, I use that mount all the time because I kind of fire theme my character.
Yeah.
So for me, that was just like the sense of accomplishment, like, outweighed like the intimidation of like the long achievement list, you know? Like, it was just like, so once I got it done, I was like, that really wasn't that bad, and I had fun with like my friends, like, going into there and stuff. So it was intimidating when I was super new, but if you get into something and you really know something that you want, it's not as intimidating at all. Like, the allied race grind and all that, it wasn't that bad. I had never been to Macquarie in Argus, so that allied race thing was, like, cool, if anything, you know?
I find that really, I find it really impressive. If I'm honest, when you said I also have a light forge Trinai, I went like, oh my god, this girl has already done the whole rep grind to get.
Well, it was like fun. That's the thing. I feel like people are so easily intimidated by it, but I just did my dailies and like I got it in a week. So
that's really good. I think, you know, if anything, that should show other players or even players, because I've heard many people say, I don't want these gates for unlocking things, but that's actually not too bad. You know, if you could do it in a week, you know, why not go for it? I guess it's another thing to keep you busy for a while, because so many, I don't know if you've experienced that, but I hear so many people always complain, I've run out of stuff to do. I don't know how you run out of stuff to do.
Yeah, I don't know how, but it's weird because I had never been to that area in Argus either, so unless you really have explored all that, it's, I mean, it'll be cool to like go there, so it's not that like miserable of a grind, you know? People see like how much it takes and they get intimidated by numbers, but really like you get a lot for like one quest on there, so it's chill.
Yeah. How do you perceive other MMOs at this point in time? Because listening to you, I feel like WoW is like the biggest MMO you've played. Has it made you more curious to other games like Elder Scrolls Online or Guild Wars or Final Fantasy? What is it? XIV? That's 14, I think, the one that's online. Do you have something like, oh, I'm curious to see what that is like, or are you like, now WoW is it now?
I've like researched them, and after some research, I haven't even played them. That's the thing. I'm just like, I don't know. I like the style of WoW, so I just am practicing favoritism with it, honestly. I'm probably biased because I haven't played those, but I'm just like not, I feel like they don't capture my interest as well because I'm looking at gameplay for them and I'm just like, But like, wow, you know, like it's just so. After I got used to this system so much, it's so like hard to switch to anything else, you know.
Yeah, no,
An addiction, honestly.
I can understand that. I mean, there are so many hardcore fans of this game, truly. Have you, now that you've dove into the World of Warcraft, do you also have an interest in the story?
I have to be explained the story by like veterans, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So as we're doing something, I'll kind of ask questions and stuff. Not the story right now, but like past things. If we do like a mount run, I'll have to kind of be explained because like I always go to Dragon Soul for all those mounts. And I got so confused at like just the whole thing. So I had to be explained like Deathwing and like how he affected the world, all that stuff, because I didn't play during that time. So I'm not like a big lore RPer or anything, but I definitely like want to know because it's like this just adds to the game, you know. It's fascinating, especially like everything with the Shara going on right now.
Yeah. Is it something like you wanted to dive deeper? Like, would you be happy to start reading the books, or is that like taking it a step too far for your interest?
Honestly, I probably would, just because I've been into fantasy for a long time. So like finding a world that's this like complex, like with good gameplay, is like crazy to me. So I probably will do like some reading, honestly.
There's many good books out there that I would recommend for that case. Now there's lots. Now I wouldn't even say learn, but it will enrich the gaming if you're interested in that and you want to know more. It really enriches your game from my point of view. But then again, I am an RPer, so you know, it's one of those things. Is there something in the game that you've not really, you know, dipped your toes in yet, but you're like, oh, I would love to try that, or that looks really cool, that's something I want to try?
So this is probably like everyone's like basic answer because it's about like classes and stuff, but all of my characters are DPS, and again, I get really competitive with the bar because I have the little DPS meter, but I might try healing one day, maybe. It's just really intimidating because, you know, I love like raiding and stuff, but like the way I think about it is like I'm so used to DPS that I feel like I would accidentally start DPSing or something. And like his healing just sounds so intimidating, but I do kind of want to try it someday. So if there's any healers out there that can give me some pointers, that'd be great.
I am sure there are many good healers out there who can help you with that. But yeah, I you know, what I've always heard from anyone who tanks and who heals, it's always a good time to try because you get faster queue times in dungeons and everything. So yeah, that sounds really cool. Do you have a specific healer in mind that you would like to try?
I really want to be a druid. That would be really cool. I just don't know much about them. I know that they can turn into animals, which is neat. I'm just like an animal lover. Like I have a hunter, so like, you know, and I see like their deer form and I'm like, oh cute, you know. It's like what I go based off of. But yeah, and according to my friend, it's like, when I say it's easy gameplay, it's because he's been playing it for years, but he claims it's easy gameplay, so maybe. But yeah, that'd be cool to try a druid. I'm mostly interested in that one because I know that there's a few options there, but they just seem interesting. They can switch, I'm pretty sure, to DPS if they wanted, but their healing spec specifically looks cool, you know?
Yeah, I think druids are, what I've heard, rest of druids are in a strong position at the moment, so
yeah,
never a wrong time to pick a druid, saying as a sort of druid player myself. Okay, do you have any other things that you want to say about how WoW is so unique for you and how it has changed gaming in general, or your gaming, or anything?
I think like I relate to a lot of people with like the statement that like it changed other games for you, you know? Like I see that on Twitter a lot. It's like, oh, I like can't play anything else because it's not as impressive, and I totally get that. Like, oh my gosh, everything, like when I can't see any like continuity to games and stuff, I just get so like I just want to go back to WoW, you know? Like I'm just like, so it's really like made other games almost like not impress me as much. Like I'll still play like the new Pokemon games and stuff, obviously those are like classics, but I'll definitely like see myself playing WoW as my main game, at least for a long time, just because of like how thoroughly impressed I am, honestly, with the gameplay. And yeah, I mean, again, I'll play like other games once in a while, but as far as like my game, this is definitely like a my game type thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it makes everything else seem, like almost short, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, again, story games, there's nothing wrong with them. I'm not knocking them. It's just like, I don't know, if I played The Last of Us 2 or something, right?
Yeah.
You play that through and then it ends, and then I would just go back to WoW, honestly. So like, it's one of those things I feel it's always going to be in my gaming life, you know?
Yeah, I think that's how a lot of us are experiencing it, because, you know, I have like 20,000 icons on my desktop of games that I can play now and again once through, but I will always return to WoW, even though I've had breaks in the past. So that's a little bit of a warning for you that once it grabs you. Okay, cool. Just wondering, how have you experienced being a female playing in World of Warcraft? Have you noticed that people are immediately switched on that, hey, this is not a dude, or have you been treated differently? I mean, you say that you play a lot with your friends anyway, but have you noticed anything from the community?
I haven't gotten the favoritism that would be great. I really want the frog mounts, so if anyone wants to give me gold for being a female, that would be great. But unfortunately, a lot of my friends, I'm not trying to call them out, but a lot of my friends are weird boys, so they'll have like a female character, and I feel like it's common for female characters to just kind of take over because of the way transmogs look on them and all that. So I didn't get like that much favoritism. I did once, and of course it was when my character was a worgen. I got flirted with in front of Adrian as a worgen. I was like, what? I'm a worgen though, like in robes. Like I don't know how they like guessed all that, but that was the only time I got flirted with again, like once on my character, like my main. But I mean, I haven't been treated that different unless it's a Discord. So in game, I won't be treated that different because, you know, again, female characters kind of dominate anyway. But in Discords, there's a little bit of like talking favoritism, so people really like laugh at my jokes and like really like prioritize me, and I'm just like, okay dude, like I'm just trying to like play. But or people at parties would be like super impressed that I'm talking about it, and I'm just like, I feel like there's a lot of females that play WoW though, so it shouldn't be that impressive or anything. I'm just kind of like talking about what I like. But yeah, so I got a little bit, not really like in game, but definitely like out of game, people have a reaction towards it. But it's not as bad as it was in like, you know, early 2000s when like if you played Call of Duty, it was like, whoa, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine with a game like Call of Duty that it's even rarer being a girl and playing it.
Oh yeah, I just like got straight up bullied then, so
That's
I think
horrible.
the community improved like a lot, you know. And gaming in general is just more accepting. So it's been good. I feel like I came in at the right time. You know, if I played any earlier, I'm sure I would get more like, you know, weirdness about being a female, but it hasn't been too bad.
That's good. That's really good. Well, it's good that you are enjoying the WoW community so much. Are you at all interested in BlizzCon this year?
I really want to go to a BlizzCon one year, but like it's so expensive. I like conventions in general. I went to TwitchCon in like 2017. I don't stream myself, but I like managed a streamer, so I was like invited and all. So we went, and that was like crazy and overwhelming, but like it was also really cool because everyone was like, so you meet so many people there, you know, and they all like can relate on like games. So you're like, yes, you're a nerd too. I can talk to you. It's so nice. So like, I do want to go to one day. That's like my dream, but you know, got to get financially stable first.
You know what? I'm so with you on that.
Yeah, honestly.
It is very expensive, but you know, I hear it's well worth it. Are you going to? You think you're going to get the virtual ticket and watch the convention from the comfort of your own home, or?
Honestly, after Belular's video on what he thinks is going to be announced, I just might. I think other people are convincing me, so I'm like, I gotta see what's going on there.
Yeah, and you know, hopefully this year we'll get some good in-game goodies as well when you order the virtual ticket, so that might be nice. True. Okay, anything else that you wanted to say about the main topic before I jump into BFA?
Not really. I mean, again, like all these game announcements, they're second to what I'm looking forward to in WoW, honestly. That sounds so, like, harsh, but I mean, it's how it is.
No, and I think that's really good. I mean, for me, I think it's really, really good to hear that people are still being drawn to the game and still are enjoying it as a new player, because I think what I've talked about with a lot of people who've played for a while is that it can come across really intimidating when, you know, oh, I want to play World of Warcraft. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I mean, we started off with level 60 as a max, and all of a sudden it's like level 120. Okay, that's a while before you. I mean, there's boost, but still. And then
I was raised by like a really patient group, you know, when I kept saying like, how do I open my bags? You know, I got a lot of patience, which is nice. So that really helps with like getting into it now.
Yeah, I would assume that having friends in the game really, really helps you just getting to grips with things. I'd like to think that the tutorial has become a little bit better in the starting areas as well, because I can't remember if we ever had those, but yeah, that's really good. I'm really happy to hear that. I mean, we always need some fresh blood in the community, so it is great that you're enjoying it. So let's jump into the current content then. If you have to pick in Battle for Azeroth, what are the things you are really impressed with, and what is something that you're like, okay, this didn't really grab me, or this could have a bit of an overhaul?
So I've heard so many complaints about Battle for Azeroth, but honestly, I'm enjoying the raid content a lot, and where they're taking it a lot, like much more than like when it was even announced. Because when it was announced, I noticed that, like, you know how you were saying it can be kind of intimidating? I think that they tried to kind of market BFA as like, oh, it's like Horde versus Alliance. This is the simple plot of what's happening, guys. It's okay to join, like, you know? And then, you know, as we're playing and like with this new like stuff going on, spoiler alert, it's more about like old god stuff, which was awesome. Like, you'd have no idea. I was like always curious about that stuff. So the fact that, like, especially with the recent patch, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so ready. So all the raids and like dungeons and stuff, really impressive to me. I know some people have complaints about that, but for me, that's like super cool. I love the direction, even though initially it was more like, oh, this is like the simple plot, you know, Sylvanas equals bad, like that's it. But I'm glad that there's much more, you know, that's awesome. But there's always a but. So the Azerite stuff is not very friendly. Yeah, you're laughing because like that's everyone's. I just don't see it sticking around, you know? Like, I see by like next expansion we're just gonna look back and be like, what was that? Like Azerite stuff. It's just a bunch of advanced trinkets, which I can't complain too much because one of them gave me a speed boost that I really appreciate because I like being fast, you know. But I mean, it's so like overly complex for what it actually is, which is trinkets. That can make it more intimidating for new people, so I think they should kind of like keep that in mind. So that's a little bit frustrating, but other than that, the actual content and playing through the content has actually been really cool. So
yeah, well, that's good. And I think, yeah, what you say about the Azerite gear, it's one of those things that it sounded really interesting and cool, but it just hasn't really worked out how it should be. For some people really enjoy it, which is you know, fine. Yeah, everyone's different, so we'll see what happens with what they announce at BlizzCon, and if we get anything different for the next expansion. All right, I'm really curious, especially from your point of view. Did you have any good tips for listeners regarding Battle for Azeroth? Maybe from a new player perspective, you have something like, oh, this is something that I've discovered, or maybe tips on how you play, anything like that.
So I know that you were interested on the allied race thing. I'm gonna tell new players, it's not that bad. If you really want to make a Void Elf or like a Lightforge, you can do them at the same time. It's not that bad, don't worry. If you really want to like look like that, you're fine. But my main tip would probably be like, I would join the secret finding Discord, honestly. I know that's like a lot for new players, but if you want like if you're into collecting, which I get sometimes, I really like my mounts and stuff. If you want like cool stuff, then I would join that Discord. There's also a lot of like groups that go on there that they organize, so like you can just meet more people and like play with some more like experienced people, which is always good. That's how I learn anyway. I mean, learning on your own can be a lot, so learning in groups is like what I recommend, and that Discord's like huge, so I recommend that for sure.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I don't know if I'm still in that one, but I remember that I thought it was amazing with all the stuff that they've discovered, really how to get certain things. I think going for one of the which pet was it last expansion that I got? Bao, the little.
Oh yeah! Oh my
goat.
gosh, I want him so bad.
that was just beyond me how people actually found those pebbles, and I was.
Oh yeah, and the riddle worm stuff. I was like, oh my goodness, it's so specific. But they have like a group finding section, so that's also really helpful. Especially with like current content. So.
Yeah, I think that is really being on part of that Discord is a really good tip, just because it is really interesting to see people really be into the game that much, discovering things, and you get a certain sense of enthusiasm from everyone. And like the Lucid Nightmare, that one was just
that was something special.
Yeah. I think it started off okay until you got into that maze.
Those rooms, I needed an add-on, and then I also drew them, which was a lot.
And I commend you on that, because I tried, and at a certain point I thought, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just going to run straight on and just hope for the best while I'm watching YouTube or something. But that's that. Yeah, I think we have some really, really cool communities with when it comes to stuff like that. Okay, I'm really curious about this, because it's a little bit. You could take it as big or as small as you want to with this question, but I'm quite curious to see who you count as your Warcraft community. So, what has the Warcraft community meant to you?
I'm trying not to get sappy about it.
It can be really sappy. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna try not to, but I don't have a lot of. I would say I don't have like that many friends like in real life, to hang out with. I do have some. I'm not trying to create a sob story here. I do have a few, but I think like people that I can really talk to, I met on WoW, and like even like my real life friends will play WoW with me. It's just like really like people I meet on WoW have always been like really supportive and like sweet, and like I consider them as valuable as like my real life friends, so it means a lot to me in the sense that like I feel like without it I would just be like a recluse,
Yeah.
Which technically I still am playing video games all day, but it's different, because I am being social in a way. It really gets me to be social, even if I'm literally just creating a group for like achievements or something. I'm still being social, and like that's hard for me in real life. So, because I have like anxiety, you know how it is. So I feel like the community really like helps with that. There's been like a lot like whenever I'm in a raid, there's always like, an active chat and stuff. We always joke around. Even in the most recent one, there was like so many jokes being thrown around. I was like, oh my gosh. And it's like funny that like you can just do that with strangers in this game. It's so like naturally friendly. Unless you poll, then if you poll, then it's not very friendly, but most of the time it is naturally friendly, which is awesome. And like I feel like I need that. That sounds so cheesy, but I feel like I do need that sometimes, because like the real world can be so aggressive. So like it would just be nice to like queue up with some people, or like do an achievement, or just like mount run with some people. It's just like everyone's been really nice. Everyone's naturally nice in this game, unless you poll. Again, that's it. But yeah, it's just I really like the close-knit community almost, I know some people would disagree, but I'm sorry about the dog.
That's fine. I've had many dogs on the podcast. No, but it's nice to hear that it's still a bit like a family thing and a tight-knit community. Have you noticed anything on Twitter that the Warcraft community is quite welcoming or anything like that?
So Twitter, I feel like, is fine from my perspective. The Reddit, though, is so weird. the Reddit is so negative. It's just a bunch of old people waiting for Classic, and I'm just like, listen, I understand, but like, I don't want to hear that. Just like, throw me some artwork, throw me some news or something. They're just so, I feel like they're so complaining, and they're not really like appreciative anymore of the game, which like, I honestly can say if you're falling out of the game, I wouldn't just go to the Reddit and like rant about it. I would just maybe stop playing, you know? Like it's okay if it's not your cup of tea. But I just feel like there's so much ranting on Reddit. Like the Twitter's fine, the Instagram is just memes. It's literally just the Reddit that I feel like is so negative. I'm just like, Jesus, guys, like you gotta calm down sometimes. But I mean, other social media from what I've seen is like pretty fine.
Mhm.
There's always there's always a bad apple. Like there's always one streamer complaining about something, but you know.
There will always be someone. I mean, you know, that's what you get. You always have. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people who are negative have the loudest voices most of the time. But as long as that doesn't deter you away from the game, then, you know, it's all good. There was something else I wanted to ask you. Now that question has completely slipped me. Actually, it was about Classic. So you said it briefly, but are you curious at all about checking out what Classic is about?
Honestly, because my friends are going to, so I guess I kind of have to. But I see myself playing retail like mainly.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll definitely like give Classic a try, because why not? I just definitely like the newer like things right now. So Classic, like the pacing is, and I feel like a lot of people when they argue about Classic, they don't understand the generational gap that video games actually went through, like why that was so different now. So it was more grindy from what I've heard in Classic, but I actually understand that completely, because lately you kind of have to be a little bit faster. You don't have to be so fast that like you immediately get to 120. I get it, but they have to be faster because my generation again grew up on like Call of Duty, and we got like really like just, I'm not saying we're faster people, but the games we grew up with were a little faster, and like technology is going faster.
Mm-hmm.
So literally our attention span is worse. So, you know, you have to give us like more content and more like, you know, fast-paced things, and like a little less grinding. And like I feel like people ignore the generation gap and just go straight to like, oh my gosh, why did they ruin it or something. But really it's like, it's for a different crowd, because they're trying to grow up with these people who grew up like with technology. They never didn't have technology, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's just a different crowd, you know. But I'll definitely try it. I don't see myself liking it as much as retail, but I will try it just to, you know, appease my buddies.
And you understand all the old people who say, oh, back in my day, we had to do
Oh
all
my gosh.
this.
Back in their day, they walked all the way to Ironforge just to do one thing. I'm just like, okay, buddy, I'm flying.
Yeah, very true. I still remember all those painful moments. All right, okay. Now we get to the weird question, or as you like to say, it was what was it again? Unique, which I think is really nice to.
I feel like every podcast has like their quirk, and I like this one, honestly.
I think it's really nice of you to say that. So plus points for me. Okay, so the question: what is your whisper? And for those who are new, a whisper can be really anything, if I'm honest. It could be a wish that you want to happen in the game, story-wise, maybe game mechanic-wise, or anything else, a bit of theory crafting about the game, where it's going, anything really. So, Momo, what is your whisper?
I waited the whole podcast to talk about this. I'm just kidding. People are gonna hate me for this, seriously, but I want Volpera to be a playable race. I really do. They're so cute, and like I'm literally in the Volpera hype caravan. Like I'm on their Twitter, I'm in their Discord. I'm just like so to play a little fox. I don't care if it's horde. I will switch. I just like I want that to happen so bad. And like there's been some evidence that it might happen, but I can see why they might not, because we already have like some playable like quote unquote like furry characters, so they don't want to be too, I guess, like anime-esque. Like I understand people's concerns with that, like how the community can be affected, But like, I also just want to play a cute fox. Like, come on. So that would be awesome if that was added. That is literally like, I know people usually use this section to talk about something like more important, but for me, I'm just like, I just want to be a fox, dude. You know, like that'd be so cool.
I like that actually. I really would it because you say that you play alliance mostly. If you have to roll a horde character for that and then do the whole rep grind on that horde character to unlock them, would you?
Yeah, just to be a fox. Yeah. I'm dedicated to like aesthetics. You know, I'm all about like my transmogs and my like looking a certain way. You know, so like, I want to be a little fox, dude. You know, that'd be cool.
I love it. That's really, really cool. All right. I like that answer. Momo, thank you so much for the interview. It was lovely talking to you.
Thanks for having me. I'm very like new, so I was really surprised that you were like actually willing to have me here. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like rolling big boys now. Cool.
Absolutely. Like I always say, I'm happy to talk to really anyone who plays World of Warcraft and has something to say. Anyone is welcome on the podcast. You know, if you're a new player, even if you started playing 2 days ago, or if you've been playing for years, or if you love PvP, or if you're a podcaster or not, I love talking to everyone. So no, I was really happy that you replied to the thread. If people want to get in touch with you, where can they find you?
So I know my nickname is Momo, but everything is under Fairver. It's like this weird name I created. I'm so sorry. But you said you would link it. It's FAERVER for literally everything. Like, I have an empty YouTube if you want to go to it, but like Twitter mostly and Instagram mostly is where I'm like active. So like everything is at Fairver, very easy and short, you know. I even have a paladin that's named that. So I doubt everyone watching is on Manoroth. So
well, you never know.
True.
That's really cool. I'll make sure that gets put into the show notes so people can find you. Again, thank you so much for the interview. It was lovely.
Thanks for having me. It was cool.
So I hope you enjoyed that interview. It was lovely talking to Momo about, you know, how the gaming has changed and also what it has done for us, especially now that we're going back to Classic. So let's see what you guys had to say about Classic, because I figured that's what everyone is talking about this week. So let's go to Twitter. And Hawk said, loving it, almost level 20, and I love saying that as it's an accomplishment, not something I do in like a couple of hours in one go like with retail. It's very true, it actually is quite of an achievement right now. Sai said, I did not get much time due to life and I'm at PAX West this weekend. The time I did have though was amazing. Oh, I hope you had a really lovely time in PAX West. Marty said, I'm way more into it than I thought I would be. Just leveling and enjoying the ride. I know where you're coming from. Glonkable said, I'm staying away from it because I don't have the time to sit and wait in a logging queue. I have better things to do with my limited time. I cannot blame you. I've still seen that some of the servers have really long login times, which is, yeah, that's not great if you're on one of those servers. Draylel said, so much queue. A large group of us old farts from a huge multi-guild alliance back in the day made a guild on what we thought would be a medium PvP server. Shh, I know. We're all masquerading as responsible adults with jobs and shit. 2/3 can't log in because 15k people in the queue. Oh my god, 15k! That's horrible. Exclavier said, I've enjoyed the limited time I've had to play this week. After the first day or two with the changes at Bliss, the queues mostly went away. As a cata baby, it's great to see the differences. I will be supplementing my retail time with Classic. So I'm really clear. I think I'll continue probably with this question because I want to see how it goes with the future, the forthcoming weeks. I have a suspicion a lot of people will stop playing. I think a lot of people will, after their monthly subscription runs out, I think after 4 weeks it will be a lot quieter and we'll just get the people who are really interested in Classic. It would be nice, that's my one fear, it would be nice if the population on the realms are still medium to high, just because you don't want to play on a server that's dead, and that's the problem with Classic BFA. you don't cross-realm anymore. So, there was a reason why we got the cross-realming at a certain point for certain servers, because otherwise you will have to transfer or you have to re-roll a new tomb, and that's a lot of work. So, fingers crossed, right? That at least the queues go away and we can quest without people constantly tagging everything and stealing it. But I would like to have a little bit more of a, I like the sense of being alive. It feels like the servers are alive, at least to me. My rose-colored goggles have not been kicked off just yet. I'm still enjoying it. Right. I am going to leave you with that. I will let you know where to find everything. So if you want to be a guest, you can of course email me, or you can PM me on Twitter, and we'll make it happen. Maybe you want to talk about Classic. I've already had a few people message me about that. So you can find the show on whispersofwar.podbean.com, where you can find all the show notes. You can find me on Twitter at whispers_of_war, or my personal one, McMonkeys with a Z. You can email me, whispersofwarpodcast@gmail.com, and on Twitch I am McMonkeys with a double Z. So that's me. You will see one episode of me there. I think one of the videos is of Classic WoW, and I'm going to expect to be loads more there. But that will be for next week. So I wish you a very, very lovely time, either in BFA, either in Classic, and hopefully I will hear from you all next week. Bye-bye!
This show is brought to you by Dragon Powered Studio. Find more at dragonpoweredstudio.com.